WhyGuru Ji Ka Khalsa, WhyGuru Ji Ki Fateh. So it's really good to see a lot of new faces. So anyone that hasn't attended before, this is the Japji Sahib course that we're going through. We're currently now on week 8, and we're going to be going through the 6th body of Sri Japji Sahib today. And for anyone that wasn't here in the last session, I have got a bit of an accent, so I hope you can understand me. My translator is currently abroad in India. It was quite funny after the last talk we had. I had more comments about my accent than I did about the talk I delivered, which was quite funny. I think the best comment was actually from Harmeet Singh, who actually said to me, "Oh, Benji, are you from Birmingham?" Yes, yeah, I'm from Birmingham. Because I can't tell. You don't look like you're from Birmingham. I thought, what? How do you look like you're from Birmingham, right? So is it like a tattoo? Is it like a marking on your face or something? But then I took it as a compliment. And then in the next sentence, he said, "It's not until you talk. When you talk, I can tell you're from Birmingham." And then I thought, wow, it's really kicking the teeth, but it's fine. So I hope no one fails to understand me. So if we do a quick recap of last week's session with Bhai Gurcharan Singh, we covered the 5th body of Sri Japji Sahib, and Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj answered the 6 initial questions that the Siddhs asked. And through that, we learnt about how we can gain honor through serving our Guru. Jin Sevya Tin Paya Man. We learnt how we can sing and listen to WhyGuruji's praises. We all sat together and we sang Dhan Guru Nanak in last week's session, which was really nice. We learnt about how Guru Sahib Ji are relative to the Hindu deities. So this comparison was made. And some of the examples used were how Guru and they sustain our virtues, right? Similar to a quality that the deities have. And Guru Sahib Ji, they also destroy the 5 vices that we have, right? They give us Gurbani, they give us everything we have, anything material that we have. And this comparison that was made, it was Guru Sahib Ji's answer to the Siddh's question of what is the Guru like? And then finally, obviously about how WhyGuruji are the giver, and as well as this, how WhyGuruji surpass any sort of description. Sabna jiya ka ek data somai visar na jaye. And that WhyGuruji, that the giver, the data, may we never forget them. So on to this week's session. As we've said on many of the weeks, Japji Sahib is this discussion between the Siddhs and Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, and the Siddhs were questioning Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, and those questions continued. They further questioned Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, and the next question that the Siddhs asked Guru Nanak Dev Ji was that, can we obtain liberation by bathing at teeraths, right? Can we obtain this liberation? Can we break free from this cycle by bathing at teeraths? So before we look at what Guru Nanak Dev Ji said to the Siddhs, what they responded, if we break this down and we have a look at what a teerath is, right? What is a teerath? So does anyone know what a teerath is, or can anyone define a teerath or explain what a teerath might be? Yes, pilgrimage. Right, so it's a place of pilgrimage where you would attend, and thousands of people across India, they would attend these teerath, these places of pilgrimage, and they will wash in the water there as a way of purifying themselves, as a way of washing themselves of the sins that they've committed. This is just an image to show how they would often kind of go to these places and wash in the waters that are there. A very common place, teerath, that Hindus often visit is Ganga, and they will wash in the water, in the holy waters at Ganga. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj responded to the Siddhs, and they said, "Teerath nava jetis pava vin parne ke nae kari." So teerath, translating to pilgrimage, nava, bathing, if, this, WhyGuruji, Bhava, pleases. The Guru Sahib Ji said that if it pleases WhyGuru Ji, then I will bathe at these places, right? I will do this pilgrimage and I will bathe if it pleases WhyGuru Ji. Vin paane ke nae kari. That vin, without, paane, WhyGuru Ji's command, ke, what will, nae, washing, kari, do. But if it doesn't please WhyGuru Ji and it's not within what they want, what their command, then what is the point of washing at these teerath sthans, at these places, right? What will it achieve? What will it actually do? So that was Maharaji's response to their question. And this concept of teerath, right? People often go to these places, these holy places, to wash away their sins and to become pure, but it doesn't necessarily make them pure. And what Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj is saying is that the purity actually comes from pleasing WhyGuru Ji, right? So washing at these teerath sthans, if it doesn't please WhyGuru Ji, Maharaj is saying what is the point in doing so? And a few weeks ago, few sessions ago, Bhai Gurcharan Singh went through the first body of Socha Soch Na Hove, Je Sochi Lakhwar, where Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj were talking about this Sarir Di Pavitrata, this washing of our body, and how actually it's just external washing, it's external purity, it's not giving us that internal purity, right? Je Sochi Lakhwar, that even if we were to wash ourselves 100,000 times, we will not be able to achieve that internal purity. So often people will go to these places and they will complete this teerath and this washing, and they will try and wash their sins away, but they don't actually change themselves, right? They'll go there, they'll try and wash away their sins, but they don't actually stop washing. Don't actually stop sinning. They don't stop doing their bad actions or the bad deeds, the wrong things that they're committing. And just a Sakhi that illustrates this idea of bathing at teeraths is of Bhagat Kabir Ji. So a group of saints came to see Bhagat Kabir Ji, and they said to Bhagat Ji that we're going to go to these 68 different shrines, right? These 68 places of pilgrimage, and we're going to bathe in the waters there, and we're going to complete this teerath yatra, right? This journey. That please, will you come with us? We can do this together. And what Bhagat Kabir Ji said was that, I'm not able to go, but you guys go ahead and complete this teerath yatra. But what Bhagat Kabir Ji said, that when you go to these 68 places where you're going to wash in the holy waters, if you take water from each of those 68 places and you bring it back to me. So that's what the saints did. They went to these places, they washed, they bathed, and they brought the water back to Bhagat Kabir Ji. They brought the water back to Bhagat Kabir Ji, and Bhagat Ji, they got this vegetable, this sabji, called a loki, right? This vegetable here. So a lot of extensive research went into finding out exactly what a loki was, right? Google, Sukhdeep Singh, my mom in Birmingham. So I know last week Sukhdeep Singh said that, loads of hours of preparation going to our talk, so definitely when you don't know what this vegetable is. But I think in English it's called maybe a gourd or something. It's from the pumpkin lineage, right? So from the pumpkin family, and this is the vegetable that Bhagat Kabir Ji had, and it's a very bitter vegetable. It's very gora, right? And what Bhagat Ji did, they got that vegetable and they submerged it in that water that the saints brought from those 68 places, submerged it and washed it, bathed it in that water, and then said to the saints that, do you accept that this loki now is pavitr, that it's pure, it's been purified because I've washed it in that water that you bought from these 68 places, these 68 holy places. And what the saints said, they said, yes, that's true, we accept that loki, that vegetable has been purified. So Bhagat Kabir Ji take that vegetable to the rasoi, to the kitchen, and they make a chutney, right, out of the vegetable. And then they serve that chutney to the saints. And upon eating that chutney, the saints spat it out because it was so bitter, right? The chutney was really gory, right? And what it shows here is that the loki did not stop its bitter quality, right? Bhagat Kabir ji said that Loki atsat teerath nai gaurapan to na jai. That this vegetable, we've washed it from the water that you brought back from these 68 different shrines, these places of pilgrimage that you visited, but gaurapan to na jai, that gaurapan, that gauraness, that bitterness that that vegetable had, to na jai, right? That vegetable did not stop being bitter, right? It didn't give up its characteristic of being bitter. And in the same way, where we may wash, we go to these places to wash, or someone may go, but do we give up our bitternesses, right? If that's a word, bitternesses. So this sabji, it was washed, but it didn't stop being bitter. And in the same way, if we go to these asthans and we wash, and that's what we do, we're merely washing ourselves. Are we giving up these bitter qualities or bitter characteristics that we have? And these characteristics, these avgun, we have these bad qualities, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Hankar, Irkha, Nindya, Chugli, right? The gossiping, the jealousy, the anger, the lust, the greed that we have. Are we giving up those qualities? It's very much the case that someone will go to these places and they will just wash their bodies externally, but they're not actually washing internally. They're not washing their minds. And it's what is, like I said before, that they go to wash their sins, but they don't actually stop sinning. So it's very much that we need to look at internal cleansing and not just this external cleansing, right? But then a question might come up about the places that we visit in India. Why is it different for this asthan? If we take just Harmandir Sahib as the example, why is Harmandir Sahib different? When we go there and we wash ourselves and we bathe in the pool, we bathe in the sarovar, why is this different to maybe other sort of arm places or common places that others might visit? Does anyone know? Any idea? Anji. Yeah, so obviously our Guru Sahibs have made this asthan, so it gives it that sort of that quality of being pure. Anything else?
I would just say it's just that it's around Gurbani. It's about Bani. I remember there was some research done about water.
Yeah.
And how, like, if you play sound on water, it actually changes. So in the same way, Gurbani, if you play around 24/7, it would have an impact on that.
Perfect. So at this, if we look at Harmandir Sahib, Gurbani is being played 24/7, right? In the morning you have Nitnem, then you'll have Katha Kirtan. One group of Kirtanis or the Katha Vajik will go off and the next one will start. Then you'll have Rehra Sahib in the evening. There's always Gurbani playing out the speakers. But as well as that, you have Harmandir Sahib in the middle, and then you have the Parkarma, right? The marble that we walk around on. And a lot of the time, Sangat are sitting in the Parkarma and they're doing their own jobs, right? They're meditating, they're reading Gurbani. And all of that Gurbani is going into the Sarovar. So we're not actually washing in water, we're washing in Amrit when we go to Darbar Sahib or any other asthan or any other Godara Sahib where we go to in India. And as well as listening to the Katha, the Kirtan, bathing in that Amrit Jal, that water, we are also taking part in Sadh Sangat. Yeah? The Sadh Sangat within the vicinity of Harmandir Sahib. And this is different from other teerath asthans because years and years ago, those asthans used to be the same. They used to be pavitra, they used to be pure. And Katha of WhyGuru used to happen at these other places as well. But that doesn't happen anymore. So, and it's very difficult to find someone that, goes there and kind of does meditate, right? And when we go to any of the sarovars in India at the Godara Sahibs, when we bathe in them, we should read a Shabad ourselves. Ram das sarovar nate sab utre paap kamate. So that Shabad, that's just 2 lines from the Shabad. The whole Shabad, we should read it 5 times when we go to any asthan, any Godara Sahib in India, and we bathe in the water there. And what Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj say, they say, teerath na van jao, teerath naam hai, teerath sabd bichar antar gyan hai. Right? That why do we need to go to these places to wash when teerath naam hai? that we should make teerath, Naam our pilgrimage, right? Naam should be our teerath. And we haven't got Harmandir Sahib on our doorstep, so we're not able to go there every day to bathe. But if we read Gurbani, then we are bathing in Naam spiritually every day, right? And bathing in that Naam, that is the true cleansing tool. Not going to these asthans and just merely bathing and just trying to wash away our sins, but not actually doing anything internally. That Naam is the true cleansing tool, and by reading Gurbani and meditating, we can access that. The next question asked by the Siddhs was, is it true we can obtain many things by bathing at these teerath asthans? And Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj say that Jiti sirat upai vekha vin karma ke milalei. Jiti, as much, sirat, world, upai, created, vekha, see. That as much of the world that you can see around us, as much as everything that you can see, it was all created by WhyGuru Ji. Yeah? Vin karma ke milalei. Vin, without, karma, predestined deeds, ke, what, mila, gain, lay, take. And we can't take or gain or obtain anything outside of karma, right? Our karam, our predestined deeds. And just a Sakhi to illustrate this, is that relating to Shivji. So there was a couple and their son, and they were quite poor. They were in a lot of poverty. And what someone told them is that you can obtain a lot from Shivji. If you meditate on Shivji's name, then you can obtain many, many things. So what the couple decided to do, they went out into the jungle and they started meditating on Shivji's name. And Shivji appeared. Shivji came to see them, and they said to them, what is it that you want? Right? It was very much a genie in the lamp kind of situation, where he said, tell me what you want. What is it that you want? What are your wishes? So he first asks the wife and says, what is it that you want? What is your wish? And the wife says, well, living in this poverty and being poor, I've not been able to maintain my beauty, right? So I've not been able to maintain my beauty, and because of that, I'm not as beautiful as I could be or I was. So I want you to make me beautiful again, right? I want to look pretty again. That's what Shivji did. Your wish is my command. Turned the wife changed her form so she looked very, very pretty. And then as this happened, a Raja was riding past, right, on horseback after hunting, and he was riding back to his kingdom, and he saw this lady, and he saw that, wow, she's really beautiful, this lady is. And he got quite lustful, and he thought to himself that this lady, she could be my Rani, right? I could make her my queen. I want to marry her. So what he does, he kidnaps that lady. And seeing this, the husband gets very annoyed, very angry, but he knows he has no power up against this Raja, this very powerful Raja. So he turns to Shivji and he says that my wish, what I want from you is that I want you to turn my wife into a pig. So, yeah, it's quite funny. Turns the wife into a pig because he knew that if this happens, then the Raja will leave his wife alone. So that's what Shivji does. He changes the form of the wife into a pig. And the Raja thinks, wow, this is not what I bargained for, right? I didn't opt for this. So he drops her off and continues on his way. And then Shivji comes over to the son and he says to the son, what is it that you want? And the son sees what's happened to his mum. His mum's now in the form of this sword, this pig. And he says to Shivji that I just want my mum back, right? I just want her back to the way she was. And then that's what Shivji does. Changes the woman, the lady, the wife, back into her original form. So they had these three wishes. They asked for what they wanted from Shivji, but they were back at square one, right? Nothing changed. And that is this cycle of Gurm, right? That they asked for all these things, but actually they were back at square one. And the essence of this Sakhi is that they went to Shivji to ask if they could change their Gurm. And they asked for these worldly things. But Shivji couldn't even give them these worldly things because it was outside of their control. And Shivji couldn't change their Gurm again because it was outside of Shivji's control, right? It's within WhyGuruji's control. So how is Shivji ever going to give them liberation? Only our Guru, only WhyGuruji can change our Gurm, can change our lake and grant us liberation. So the next part, the Siddhs actually tried to bribe Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, right? So the conversation continues and they say to Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj that the Man Sarovar contains many gems, jewels and rubies, and that if you become one of us, you can also obtain these different jewels, these gems, right? You can have access to them. So they're quite sneaky, the Siddhs. They try to bribe Guru Nanak Dev Ji and take them, take them, put them on their own side. So this is just a photo of Mansarovar. It's just a lake, and it was full of these worldly gems, these worldly jewels, and these worldly rubies, right? The actual gems, jewels, and rubies. But Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj replied to them, and they talk about spiritual gems, spiritual jewels, and spiritual rubies. And they say, Mat vich ratan jawahar manik, je ek gur ki Sikh suni. Right? Mat, mind, vich, inside, ratan jawahar manik, gems, jewels, and rubies. That these jewels that you're talking about, they are within us, right? They're inside our mind. These spiritual gems, these spiritual rubies. You're talking about these worldly ones that you find in the Mansarovar. I'm talking, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj say that they're talking about these spiritual gems and these spiritual jewels and spiritual rubies. And they say that Je ek gur ki Sikh suni, that Je, if, ek, one, Guru Sahib, ki Sikh, teaching, suni, listens. And the way to access these spiritual jewels is by listening to this one teaching that Guru Sahib Ji have given us, right? This one teaching that Guru Sahib Ji have given us will then allow us access to these jewels, the spiritual jewels that are inside of us. So if we look at the jewels that Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj talk about, so the spiritual jewels, right? Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj's jewels, when they talk about the gems, the ratan, they refer to Vairag, right? The Vairag in us, within us, this detachment from the world and this longingness from WhyGuruji. And that if we listen to what Guru Sahib Ji is saying, we can obtain and kind of access this Vairag. Then they refer to the jewels, the Jawahar. And Maharaji say that the Jawahar, that's Gyan, right? Spiritual knowledge of WhyGuruji. That's the real jewel that we need to access. And finally, the rubies, right? The manik that the Siddhs are talking about, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj say that is mannan, that is acceptance. And that is the real ruby within us that we need to access. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj talk about this Vairag Rupi Ratan, right? This gem is actually Vairag. The Gyan Rupi Jawahar, that the jewel is actually Gyan, and Mannan Rupi Manik, that the rubies that you're talking about, they're actually Manik. And the way we can access these is that if we accept and we listen to what Guru Sahib Ji is saying, that's the way we can find these jewels. And an example of when Bhai Mardana Ji accepted and Bhai Mardana Ji listened to Guru Sahib Ji and Guru Sahib Ji's teaching was, there was a time when Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, Bhai Balaji and Bhai Mardana Ji, they were in Bhai Balaji's pind and they were sitting on a coup in Bhai Balaji's pind, right, on their coup, on their well. And Bhai Mardana Ji says to Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj that Maharaj, I'd really like to go and see my family. It's been so long and we're not too far from them, so I'd really like to go and see them. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, that's fine, you can go and see them. Just don't get attached to them. Make sure you come back, because we still have lots of seva to do. And Bhai Mardana Ji accepted this, and they listened to this. And they said to Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, Maharaj Ji, I'm going after so long. I want to take an offering for the family. I want to take a gift. That please, can you give me something that I can give them? And what Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj did, they got this basket, and they filled this basket with rocks, and then they covered it with a cloth. They handed that basket to Bhai Mardana Ji, and they said Mardana, don't look in this basket until you get home, right? Don't remove this cloth and look into the basket until you get home to your family. And again, Bhai Mardana Ji accepted this. Bhai Mardana Ji listened to this. And then when they got home to their family, that's when they removed the cloth and looked into the basket, and all those rocks that were in the basket, they turned into gems, and they turned into jewels and rubies and diamonds, right? So Bhai Mardana Ji were able to obtain these jewels and these gems just by accepting what Guru Nanak Dev Ji said to them and listening to what Guru Nanak Dev Ji said to them. And why would our Guru need to go to Mansarovar to get these different types of jewels when our Guru has the power to create the jewels themselves, right? When our Guru has the power to turn these rocks into rubies, turn these rocks into gems, and turn them into jewels and diamonds, then why does our Guru need to go to Mansarovar? And then finally, the final question for this body, obviously, it continues with the Japji Sahib. But for the sixth body, the last question that the Siddhs asked Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj was, what is this Sikhya, this teaching that you speak of? Because in the last line, Guru Nanak Dev Ji said that Je ek gur ki sikh suni, that if you listen, suni, to this one teaching, this one Sikhya of the Guru, then you can obtain these jewels. And so the Siddhs asked what that was, and Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj replied that Gura ek dehe bujai, that Guru Sahib ek one dehe given, bujai understanding. That Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj have been given this one understanding by WhyGuru Ji, that Sabna Jiya ka ek data so main visar na jai. Sabna, all Jiya, beings, ka, of, ek, one, data, giver. That all the beings that we see around us, everything, right, all creatures, beings, they have this one data, this one giver, this one same giver. So main visar na jai. So that I visar na jai. Never forget. And may I never forget that. That may we never forget that that WhyGuru Ji are that giver that give us everything. And in the last session, that when we spoke about this, about how WhyGuru Ji give us everything we have, we spoke how WhyGuru Ji give us the good, WhyGuru Ji give us the bad, WhyGuru Ji give us the dukh, and WhyGuru Ji give us the sukh. And often we perceive this dukh to be quite negative, but in essence it can actually be quite positive, right? And it can often be for our pala, for our own good. Guru Ram Das Ji Maharaj say that Satgur sabana da pala manaye da tes da bura kyo hoy. That Satguru Ji, that Guru Sahib, they just want the best for us. Everything they do for us is for our own good, right? And tes da bura kyo hoy, that why would they ever want anything bad to happen to us? Yeah? Why would they want anything bad to happen to us? And an example, a Sakhi that we can go through to show how we sometimes don't recognize that what Guru Sahib Ji is doing or WhyGuru Ji is doing for us is actually for our pala, and we actually see it as dukh, is a Sakhi of a Raja. And this Raja, he actually lost his smallest finger, right? His pinky finger. He lost his finger. And he calls his Vajir, his advisor, and he says to the advisor, look, I'm a good person, and I've just lost my finger. It just doesn't make sense, right? Why has this happened to me? And the advisor says कि परमेश्वर ने बहुत चंगा कीता, बहुत चंगा कीता. That what has happened is really, really good. It's great even. And the Raja, obviously this is his advisor, but he thinks, right, this guy's lost it, he's a nutcase. I've just lost my finger and he's telling me that this is great, what's happened is great, it's really, really good. And the Raja gets very annoyed, gets very angry, as anyone would be who's lost their finger and they're being told that actually this is really great, that's happened to you, what's happened to you. So what the Raja does, he sacks his Vajir. He sacks him. He fires him. Anyone that watches Apprentice, you know, you're fired. Real Lord Sugar moment. And he gets rid of him. And upon doing this, the Vajir says, Bahut changa kita. Right, so he's just got fired. He's just lost his job as being the Raja's, the king's right-hand man, the advisor to the king of this very big kingdom. And his response to that is, Bahut changa kita, right? Parmeshwar ne bahut changa kita, that this is really good what's happened, it's great that you've got rid of me. And the Raja again thinks this guy's a nutcase, there's something wrong with him. But the Sakya continues, and the Raja has to go on an errand, has to go on a sort of mission, and he has to change he has to put a disguise on, and he has to change his roop, his form, and he just goes as a normal person, right? He's not wearing any of his jewels or his crown or anything like that. And he's on this boat, and whilst on this boat, the boat begins shaking, and then the boat comes to a halt, and it's stopped by a magarmach. Does anyone know what a magarmach is? Crocodile, yeah. So the boat gets stopped by a crocodile, and the crocodile wants a sacrifice, right? He wants someone to eat off the boat. So the people on the boat, they start, you know, deciding who we're going to throw over, who we're going to sacrifice, who we're going to feed to this crocodile, so he'll leave us alone and we can carry on. And they go around and they ask different people, and they're saying, no, you can't throw me over, I've got family. You can't throw me over, I've got, you know, this commitment, etc. Different reasons. And what happens is they come to the Raja, and the Raja can't give up his real identity. So the Raja stays quiet, doesn't say anything. And then they decide that actually we're going to throw this guy over, right? He's going to be the crocodile's dinner. And as they grab him and they get ready to throw him over, they see his hand and they realize that he's actually missing his pinky finger. And they say, no, we can't throw him over because he hasn't got his finger, so it's not a full sacrifice, right? If we throw him over, we'll still have to throw someone else over, because whoever we throw over needs to have every limb, every finger, every toe, every leg, every arm, needs to have every part of their body for it to be a full sacrifice, and for that crocodile, that magarmach, to accept it. So they leave him alone, and someone else from the boat gets thrown over. And the Raja, when he gets back home and he gets back to his kingdom, he asks for the Vajir to come back. He tells his guards that bring my advisor back. The advisor that I sacked, please bring him, I need to speak to him. And the advisor comes in, and the Raja explains what had happened to him. And the Vajir says, exactly, Parmeshwar ne bahut changa kita, that you lost your finger, and because you lost your finger, you weren't fed to that crocodile, right? You didn't lose your life. So though you may have lost your finger and it felt like dukh at the time, it was actually Parmeshwar ne pala kita, right? They were doing this for your own good. And the Raja, the king, understood this. But then the Raja asked that, well, when I got rid of you and I sacked you, why did you say then, Parmeshwar ne bahut changa kita? Why did you say it then? I understand in regards to me, because I didn't get fed to the crocodile, but what about yourself? And the advisor says that I have to go with you everywhere, right? I'm your right-hand man. So wherever you go, I go. So I would have been on that boat with you. And when the people would have seen that you're missing your finger, next they would have turned to me, and then I would have been that crocodile's dinner, right? I would have been thrown over and I would have been eaten by that crocodile. So Parmeshwar ne bahut changa kita. Not only did they save you, but they saved me as well. So if we link this to the Pangati that Satguru Ji, that Guru Sahib Ji, what they do for us is for our pala. And everything they give to us, Sabana Jiya Ka Ekadata, is whether it be good, whether it be bad, whether it be dukh or sukh, it's sometimes, it is for our pala. And we may think that this dukh that we're receiving is painful or it's negative, but in essence, we're actually receiving sukh. And we just don't recognize that and we don't realize that. So that brings us to the end of today's discussion. Just to go over what we went through today's talk. So we looked at bathing at teerath, right? And how often it's just an external practice of washing our bodies and we're not actually purifying ourselves internally, right? Inner. We looked at the true cleansing tool as being Naam, that by bathing in this Naam and making Naam our teerath, making Naam our pilgrimage, we can truly cleanse ourselves internally. We looked at karam and what we can obtain through this karam. So we looked at the Sakhi of the man, the wife and the son. And even though they tried to change their karam by speaking to Shivji, they actually stayed in the same place because only WhyGuru Ji can change our karam. Then we looked at the Guru's jewels, right? The spiritual jewels that our Guru has given us, right? So that they've given us vairag, this detachment from the world and this longingness for WhyGuru Ji. They've given us gyan, this spiritual knowledge, and they've given us mannan, this acceptance. And we compared those to the worldly jewels that the Siddhs were talking about in the Mansarovar. And finally, that WhyGuru Ji are the giver and may we never forget them. That Sabna Jiya Ka Ikadata So Main Visar Na Jai. That they give us everything that we have and may we never forget that. So that is the end of the talk. I hope everyone was able to take something from that. I actually did this talk to my cousin in Birmingham. And at the end, I said to her, "Did you learn anything?" And she said, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay, what did you learn?" She said, "Oh, that woman got turned into a pig." And I was like, "Is that it?" And she was like, "Oh, yeah." So I hope you've taken a bit more than just, that concept of the lady turning into a pig. And just to finish off like we did in the last session, if we can just dim the lights and we can just sing through the body we've done today, and then I think we'll probably have some Kirtan maybe, and then it will be Samapti after that. So please forgive all the mistakes I've made. Teerath nava je tis pava, Teerath nava je tis pava. Vin paane ke nae kari, Vin paane ke nae kari. Jeti sir theo pai vekha, Jeti sir theo pai vekha. Vin karma ke milalai, Vin karma ke milalai. Mat vich ratan jawahar manak, Mat vich ratan jawahar manak, ਮਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਤਨ ਜੇ ਇਕ ਗੁਰ ਕੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਸੁਣੀ, ਜੇ ਇਕ ਗੁਰ ਕੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਸੁਣੀ, ਜੇ ਇਕ ਗੁਰ ਕੀ ਗੁਰਾ ਇਕ ਦੇਹ 부ਜਾਈ, ਗੁਰਾ ਇਕ ਦੇਹ 부ਜਾਈ, ਗੁਰਾ ਇਕ ਸਭਨਾ ਜੀਆ ਕਾ ਇਕ ਦਾਤਾ, ਸਭਨਾ ਜੀਆ ਕਾ ਇਕ ਦਾਤਾ, ਸੋ ਮੈਂ ਵਿਸਰ ਨਾ ਜਾਈ, 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 ਵਿਸਰ ਨਾ ਜਾਈ। ਸੋ ਮੈਂ ਵਿਸਰ ਨਾ ਜਾਈ, ਸੋ ਮੈਂ ਵਿਸਰ ਨਾ ਜਾਈ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ, 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 ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ। WhyGuru, 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 वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। वाहिगुरु, 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 वाहिगुरु जी, वाहिगुरु, 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 वाहिगुरु जी, वाहिगुरु, 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 वाहिगुरु जी, वाहिगुरु, 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 ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਸ਼ਲੋਕ ਪਵਨ ਗੁਰੂ ਪਾਣੀ ਪਿਤਾ ਮਾਤਾ ਤਰਤ ਮਹਤ ਦਿਵਸ ਰਾਤ ਦੁਇ ਦਾਈ ਦਾਇਆ ਖੇਲੈ ਸਗਲ ਜਗਤ ਚੰਗਿਆਈਆਂ ਬੁਰਿਆਈਆਂ ਵਾਚੈ ਧਰਮ ਹਦੂਰ ਕਰਮੀ ਆਪੋ ਆਪਣੀ ਕੇ ਨੇੜੇ ਕੇ ਜਿਨੀ ਨਾਮ ਤੇ ਆਇਆ ਗਏ ਮਸਕਤ ਕਾਲ ਨਾਨਕ ਤੇ ਮੁਖ ਉਜਲੇ ਕੀਤੀ ਛੁੱਟੀ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਨੀ ਨਾਮ ਤੇ ਆਇਆ ਗਏ ਮਸਕਤ ਕਾਲ ਨਾਨਕ ਤੇ ਮੁਖ ਉਜਲੇ ਕੀਤੀ ਛੁੱਟੀ ਨਾਲ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।